twice the amount of stuff on her, tubes and needles and machines. She had so many different things attached to her. And I watched this girl when I went every other week, every time I saw her, she just looked worse and worse. And she became this frail thing with no hair. I mean, she looked to me at the time that she was mid-20s, but after a while she looked like she was in her 70s. I mean, it was just devastating to me. And this went on for almost 3 months. And then after that, I never saw her again. So, I mean, who knows? For all I know, she could live 2 houses away and she's doing great. But for me, I always, in a weird, I know this sounds weird, but I just imagined the worst for her because it just seemed to be that was the way it was going for her. But I hope that wasn't true. But at the same time, I used that as my model of how worse things could be. And I just always tried to keep a positive attitude after that. It could be worse.
Someone always has it worse than you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I just tried to keep that mentality and tried to keep smiling. Of course, there were plenty of times I lost it. There, plenty of meltdowns.
Of course.
And even now, wearing a prosthetic, there's still issues that come. You gain some weight, your prosthetic doesn't fit as well. Oh. You lose weight, your prosthetic doesn't fit right. There's always adjustments.
That's right.
But there's always adjustments with both with your real legs too. You could fall, or you need a knee replacement. So to me, it's not that much different than the real thing. So I try to remember it's not that bad.
Are you still acting more, or are you directing more nowadays, or a little bit of both?
I'm acting more. Because I do treat it like a full-time job. So whether it's working on a script for a murder mystery or tweaking a murder mystery, sometimes we'll even get custom work. A corporate event or something, or somebody with some money running a private party saying, this is the theme I have for my party, and I want a murder mystery around that theme. So I'll write something like that. I also now I'm also hosting a radio show, so I'm coming up with stuff to talk. We do that 4 days a week, so I'm always so it's almost a daily thing where I have to think about, all right, what am I going to talk about on the next show? So there's a lot of writing involved, more performing.
Do you bring in other writers and directors for your shows?
If it's a murder mystery, something with knock 'em dead comedy, no, it's always me. Writing, I'll get some ideas from people, and my partner Eric, he'll get involved a little bit, but it's usually, for the most part, me. Directing is me. If it's something else I'm involved in, like a straight play or something, your traditional stage production. Even if I'm involved somehow behind the scenes, we might get a different director or something. But but even that's been enjoyable too. I have directed one. I directed one play that somebody asked me to direct, and which I found. It's just another challenge, something I never thought in a million years I would do. So that was, and I wasn't in it, I wasn't performing at all. I just directed, and then I got to sit back, for the performance like a proud uncle, watching the kids up there, do the show. I've been fortunate to get involved in a few other things.
Is it just murder mysteries in your theater group? Do you do like the wedding shows, or is it?
Yeah, we have a wedding. We have a redneck wedding themed mystery. We, of course, have, we're in New York. You got to have the mob show. We have a high school reunion show. We have a luau themed party. It's not the most original ideas, but it works. People have a great time. It's you're not supposed to have your different complex ideas for that type of theater.
Yeah, people are there to have a party and enjoy themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it leads to other things, more creative things. Even though that's not the most creative outlet, it's so much fun. But then it leads to other things like hosting a radio show, or I also I've got involved with doing a cartoon series. It was a cartoon series was about the environment and helping save the environment, and the company had all sorts of plot lines and ideas for how they wanted this series to go, but it was for kids. That's why it was a cartoon. So they asked me to kind of add the humor to it. So I got involved in the writing with it a little bit. So that was, so that gave me a creative outlet. Again, something I never thought in a million years I would do, but to be a part of that team and just add some funny bits and some fun lines for the characters. And then I got to do one of the voices, which was just a blast to do. So you do something that's not as creative like a murder mystery, but to me, that's why I say I just try to make a living as a performer, because I just try to dabble into whatever comes along and just make the most of it. As long as it's performing, I'm good.
It's in his blood. He can't get rid of it. Once it's there,
Absolutely.
Well, you mentioned Knock 'em Dead comedy radio show. Well, you didn't mention it was Knock 'em Dead, but that's the name of it, folks. You went to that medium in 2018? Well, why?
Yes.
Why radio? Why did you say, okay, let me make this step and plunge into radio this time?
Again, it's not something I really thought about. It's govsradio.com. That's where you can hear the show. And it's govsradio.com because it's out of Governor's Comedy Club, which is the biggest comedy club on Long Island, one of the bigger comedy clubs in New York. So many people got their start there. Jackie Martling, Eddie Murphy, Kevin James. So many people got their start there. We were doing one of our murder mysteries there. And we were backstage before the show started. Eric and I were walking down the hallway, and we saw this little radio studio. And we asked one of the guys at Governor's, what that's about. They built it a few years prior. They had a few shows running. But at the time that we asked, they only had 2 shows running, and it totaled up to maybe 8 to 10 hours a month. It wasn't much of anything. They weren't really doing anything with it. So Eric and I said, well, let's have some fun. Let's see if we can do a radio show. It was really that simple. 2 months later, they brought us in. We had some discussions with them, but 2 months later, we sat with his name is Mike O'Toole, the guy that built the studio. He taught us how to, everything we needed to know to stream the shows. And that was it. We started doing the Knock 'em Dead comedy radio show.
And what is there a central theme to the show? Is there a
anything?
format?
It's a talk show. I'm not going to compare myself to Howard Stern or make it sound like we're as good as that, but it's that format where you just talk about anything you want to talk about that day. We, of course, spotlight the comedians that are coming through Governor's. So we focus a lot on that. We'll talk to some local comedians, up-and-coming comedians. We focus a lot on that. But we've brought in musicians, and they play live. Liberty DeVito, who played drums for Billy Joel for 30 years. Yeah. He's been a guest. Mike Del Giudice, who's currently in Billy Joel's band, he's been there. Wow. For all you Beatle fans out there, you'll know the name Billy J. Kramer. He's been in our studio. The Beatles wrote songs for him back in the 60s.
Wow.
We've had human interest stories. We had a guy who was getting sued by his village because he built a treehouse for his kids, and they felt it wasn't up to code, and it became this years-long battle, and it made CNN. We had this guy in here. We covered teen heroin addiction, which was a big epidemic here on Long Island. So we just cover everything. Sports. We've talked to some sports stars.
As a podcaster, I'm always interested, how do you get your guests on the show?
Begging. It's just like you. Yeah, it's just like you. You know, we have a mutual friend, that Laurie Ann Davis, that hooked us up. It's a lot of that. Hey, I heard you're buddies with so-and-so. Any chance you can get them on? The way I see it, I don't want to be a pain to anybody, but I don't think it hurts to ask at least once. If worst they can do is say no.
That's it.
So that's how I see it. And we've gotten fortunate. We've had Vic DiBitetto, you know Vic DiBitetto, the comedian, the bread and milk guy.
Yeah, he's fun.
He's been there. Adam Ferrara, who's a big comedian, he's been on.
Joey Cola.
Joey Cola's been on. Joey Cola, it's really funny. Joey Cola is just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life. And I had a loose connection to Joey for years, and I've met him a few times through the years. But every time I met him, I had to remind him who I was. You know me through this, and I saw him. The last time I saw him before we did the radio show, he does a lot of warm up for TV shows. He's the warm up guy, gets the audience all revved up before the show starts. And the last TV show Kevin James had, Kevin Can Wait. My girlfriend and I went, and we were in the studio audience. We went to see it, and Joey was the warm up guy. After the show, he came up to me. He goes, "I know you. I know you." So I said, "Yeah, we've met several times. I'm so-and-so." So I reached out to him once we had this radio show, and I said, I don't know if you have time, but would you like to come in one day? He came in. I mean, it was immediately. Yeah, I'll come in. No problem. I love Governors. He's got a great history with that club, and he plays there all the time. He came in. The first time he showed up, he brought in a case of White Castle. And we're all just pigging out, getting sick on White Castle while having a bunch of laughs, doing the show with him. And now he's one of my closest friends. We talk all the time. We don't live too far from each other. He's currently the warm-up guy for Rachel Ray. He brought my girlfriend and I, onto the set of Rachel Ray. We got a nice little tour. We got to check it all out. You won't find a nicer guy. He is just fantastic.
I saw him.
And I think it's cool. You've seen him?
Yeah, he ate my waffle fry when he came on stage. It was we were close to the stage, and he's running up the stage. He just grabs a waffle fry from my basket and started eating.
And I am not making this up, Alex. I think he's told me about that. Now, I don't know if he's done that a million times or not. Maybe I'm going to say that you're the guy.
Maybe.
Because he talks about that, how he's grabbed a waffle fry from a guy.
We saw him when I forgot I don't know what the comedy club was in Medford. It's no longer there.
Oh, that was a Governor's club.
That was a Governor's, yeah.
You're talking early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a club in Medford for a short time.
That's where I saw him. It was such funny. He was a funny show. I loved it.
He is. Yeah, he's just the best. He's just one of the best comedians and just one of the best people. And I have to say, I've been fortunate to do a few interviews like this, a few conversations like this, and I think every single one of them have brought up Joey Cola. I love talking about him. I love being his friend, and I love the fact that people associate me with him. I have no problem saying that. I'll ride his coattails. I'll be one of his guys.
Like he says, you go on ahead. You go on ahead.
That's a pretty good impression.
That's very true. Down here in Florida, they do that.
Is that right?
And the sweet tea. You want some sweet tea? Yeah.
Joey's he's great. So, he's been very supportive.
And now you have a co-host on the show with you.
Yeah.
And who is this lady who co-hosts with you?
Her name is Sally O'Neill, and Sally is my girlfriend. She hosts the show with me. Eric, my business partner, Knock 'em Dead Comedy, it was the three of us for a while. Eric has he decided that he didn't want to do the everyday thing, so he's kind of taken a little step back. And Sally and I, we're on there 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So on Wednesdays, you can see Eric. He hosts with another girl, Danielle Asher is her name. They take over on Wednesdays for us because Sally and I, and that's what I mean. I never thought in a million years that I would do Murder Mystery or that I would direct anything. I never thought in a million years I'd host a radio show. But it's just these things just kind of, they just kind of fall into each other. They just kind of happen. You meet people along the way that say, hey, you want to try this? Or would you like to do that? And it just becomes all these cool things. And so Sally and I now run the radio station for governors.
Yeah, program director.